We had known each other in passing, very much, seeing each other at award shows and stuff like that, and we're on the lot. I think I once offered her a lift when I was on Warner's lot, but she was going in a different direction. And so 10 years later, I don't know, she did see me in a tweet and she thought I was blue about something and she said, "How are you? What's happening?" And we got together shortly after that.
I love that story. Now, you've been together for a while. How do you message each other in cute ways now?
Well, she more than I mean, she's very much a social media creature. I mean, she has like 1 million followers on Instagram.
It's very popular.
And she is also very good with the camera, with the camera in the iPhone. When I never think to take my phone out to take a picture, she sees something that's going to be iconic or perfect, and she gets a picture of it and she tweets it or Instagrams it. So she's very responsive to that very modern thing. I'm a different generation, so I'm just sort of getting the hang of it. But it sometimes is fun and funny to have some sort of public conversation back and forth. People enjoy it.
So no more DMing, no more direct messaging anymore.
No. Well, like once in a while, one might. But she likes to be fun, and she likes to be fun on Twitter.
I love her. I cannot get enough of Holland Taylor and Sarah Paulson DMing each other on Twitter. It's so amazing. Taylor is currently starring in the AT&T Audience Network's show Mr. Mercedes, based off a Stephen King novel. And although the show is scary as can be, Taylor says she's not a huge fan of horror, unlike girlfriend Sarah Paulson, who's been in every season of American Horror Story. And Taylor reveals to me that it never gets easy to watch her in those dangerous situations. Watch.
I just admire her ability to do it because they have very long hours on American Horror Story, and she's had 2 seasons in a row where she was running and screaming and fleeing and being in jeopardy, and I really don't know how she does it. I really don't. I mean, it's relentless, and but she's a great actress, and she can really go there. She can go wherever she has to go for a scene.
Now, are you able to watch her in those?
Well, she does many other things than that. I don't like watching her in jeopardy. It's hard.
You know what's crazy? Sometimes the most beautiful love stories start with a single glance across a crowded room, and then wait 10 whole years before they actually begin. Picture this. It's 2005, a dinner party in Los Angeles, the kind where Hollywood's elite gather to make small talk over expensive wine and catered appetizers. 2 women are in that room. One is a rising star in her early 30s, already turning heads with her performances. The other is a seasoned actress in her 60s, a Tony Award winner with decades of experience under her belt. Their eyes meet. There's something there, something electric, something undeniable. But here's the twist. Both of them are in committed relationships with other people. So they do what any reasonable person would do. They smile politely, make conversation, and then spend the next decade unable to forget that moment. This is the story of how Holland Taylor landed her first date with Sarah Paulson. And trust me, it's unlike any Hollywood romance you've ever heard. Let's rewind for a second, because to truly understand the magic of what happened between these 2 incredible women, you need to know who they were when their paths first crossed. Sarah Paulson, born in 1974, was already making waves in Hollywood by 2005. She'd appeared in shows and films, building a reputation as a serious actress with incredible range. But at that particular dinner party, she wasn't thinking about her career. She was there with her girlfriend at the time, the Tony Award-winning actress Cherry Jones. Cherry was 18 years Sarah's senior, and their relationship was one of Hollywood's quieter love stories, one that Sarah has spoken about with immense respect and fondness over the years. They were happy together, very much in love, and Sarah thought that was her story. She had no idea that across that very room stood a woman who would eventually become the love of her life. And then there was Holland Taylor, born in 1943. Holland had already lived several lifetimes by the time she walked into that dinner party. She was best known for her role as Judge Roberta Kittleson on The Practice, a performance that earned her an Emmy Award. She'd also charmed audiences as Evelyn Harper in 2.5 Men, and movie fans knew her as Professor Stromwell in Legally Blonde, the intimidating law professor who delivers one of the most memorable pep talks in cinema history. At 62 years old, Holland was at the height of her career, respected and admired by peers and fans alike. She, too, was in a relationship that evening, and she, too, had no reason to believe her entire world was about to shift on its axis. But when she saw Sarah Paulson for the first time, something happened. Years later, Sarah would recall to the New York Times that she thought Holland was probably the most exquisitely beautiful woman I'd ever seen. That's not a casual compliment. That's the kind of statement that stays with you, that echoes in your mind during quiet moments, that makes you wonder what if. So, what happened after that fateful dinner party? Absolutely nothing. At least, not right away. Both women went back to their respective relationships and their respective lives. Sarah continued building her career, eventually landing the role that would change everything. Her portrayal of prosecutor Marcia Clark in The People v. O.J. Simpson would earn her critical acclaim and numerous awards. Holland continued her stage work, her television appearances, pouring her legendary talent into every role she took on. But here's the thing about genuine connection. It doesn't just disappear because the timing is wrong. It waits. It simmers. It finds its way back to you when you least expect it. Fast forward to 2015. Sarah Paulson is now one of the most sought-after actresses in Hollywood, known particularly for her work on American Horror Story, where she portrayed multiple characters across different seasons with such versatility that critics and fans alike are in awe of her abilities. Her relationship with Cherry Jones has ended, though they remain friends, a testament to the genuine love and respect they shared. Sarah is single, focused on her career, navigating the complex world of Hollywood fame. And then, in the most modern way possible, her life changes forever. She's scrolling through Twitter, probably between takes on set or during a quiet evening at home, and she notices that Holland Taylor is following her. Remember Holland Taylor? The woman from that dinner party 10 years ago? The woman Sarah once described as the most exquisitely beautiful she'd ever seen? Here's where the story gets really good. Holland Taylor didn't just follow Sarah on Twitter and call it a day. No, Holland Taylor, this accomplished actress with decades of experience, this Emmy Award-winning icon, did something that would make her the hero of romantics everywhere. She slid into Sarah Paulson's DMs. Let that sink in for a moment. In 2015, sliding into someone's DMs was already becoming the modern equivalent of passing someone a note in class, except infinitely more nerve-wracking, because you're an adult and rejection stings a lot more when you're fully conscious of what it means. But Holland did it anyway. She sent Sarah a direct message on Twitter, taking a chance, put herself out there in a way that required genuine courage. When Sarah revealed this detail years later during an appearance on Watch What Happens Live with Andy Cohen in January 2019, the audience went wild. Billy Eichner, who was also a guest that evening, couldn't contain his excitement. "Holland Taylor slid into your DMs?" he asked, his voice rising with delighted disbelief. Sarah, grinning from ear to ear, confirmed it. "She actually did," she said. "Yeah, it's pretty great." The simplicity of that statement, the joy in her voice, the way her whole face lit up when she talked about it, that told you everything you needed to know about how much that moment meant to her. After 10 years of carrying the memory of this beautiful woman she'd met at a party, of thinking about what might have been, suddenly there was Holland in her inbox, essentially saying, "Remember me?" But Holland's Twitter DM wasn't just a random "hey" message. It was the beginning of a conversation, a reconnection, a chance to explore what they'd both felt all those years ago. They started talking, really talking, about their lives and their careers and all the things that had happened in the decades since they first met. They discovered that the connection they'd felt at that dinner party wasn't just a fleeting attraction or a case of mistaken chemistry. It was real. It was deep. It was worth pursuing. And here's the beautiful part. They were both finally in a place where they could pursue it. Sarah was single. Holland was single. The universe, after making them wait 10 long years, was finally getting its act together. Their first actual date is the stuff of romantic legend. After weeks or maybe months of messaging back and forth on Twitter, of building anticipation, and getting to know each other again, they decided to meet in person. Really meet. Not just bump into each other at an industry event. A real, honest-to-goodness date. Holland, in her characteristically thoughtful and intelligent way, had been planning how to make this happen. She knew Sarah was special. She knew this connection was rare. She wasn't about to let anything ruin their chance. According to what Holland revealed in her People Now interview, she was the one who took the lead in setting up their first date. She reached out, she made the plan, she put her heart on the line, and Sarah, who had been carrying a torch for this woman for a decade, said yes. Imagine the nerves they must have felt. This wasn't just any first date. This was a first date with stakes. They'd already waited 10 years. They'd already established that there was something powerful between them. What if reality didn't live up to the expectation? What if a decade had changed them too much? What if the magic they remembered was just a trick of memory? But the moment they sat down together, really together, all those fears evaporated. They talked for hours. They laughed. They discovered that not only was the attraction still there, but it had deepened. They weren't 20-somethings fumbling through the early stages of attraction. They were grown women who knew themselves, who knew what they wanted, who recognized something precious when they found it. Sarah has spoken openly about what draws her to Holland beyond the initial physical attraction. She's described Holland as the smartest, wisest, funniest, most extraordinary person she's ever met. In an August 2023 appearance on Chelsea Handler's podcast, Sarah said, "I think she's the smartest, wisest, funniest, most extraordinary person I've ever met. So I can't imagine not being with her. I just can't. I just feel very, very lucky to be around someone so incredibly witty and funny and smart and, I think, incredibly sexy." That's not infatuation talking. That's deep, genuine love and admiration. Sarah sees Holland not just as a romantic partner, but as someone who elevates her entire existence, who challenges her intellectually, who makes her laugh until she cries, who makes her feel seen and valued in ways that are transformative. And Holland? Holland talks about Sarah with the same reverence. In a January 2017 interview on Radio Andy Sandlin, Holland said that Sarah makes her feel like the luckiest person in the world. She described their relationship as the most wonderful thing in my life and said it makes everything else make sense. For a woman who had lived 7 decades before finding this relationship, that's an incredibly powerful statement. Holland had already achieved professional success. She'd won awards, earned respect, built a career that most people only dream of. But finding Sarah, connecting with her in this profound way, gave her life a dimension it had never had before. After their first date went well, and by all accounts, it went spectacularly, Sarah and Holland began dating officially. They kept it relatively quiet at first, as many celebrity couples do, wanting to protect this precious thing they'd found from the harsh glare of public scrutiny. But by November 2015, hints started to emerge. Holland posted a photo on Twitter of Sarah in a floor-length gown at what appeared to be a dress fitting. The tweet was innocent enough, but fans started speculating. Then, on November 25, 2015, Holland appeared on WNYC's Death, Sex and Money podcast and revealed she was in her first deeply committed relationship with a woman who was much younger than her. "It's the most wonderful, extraordinary thing that could have ever possibly happened in my life," Holland said, though she didn't mention Sarah by name. The internet, being the internet, immediately started connecting the dots. On December 1st, 2015, People magazine confirmed what everyone had been suspecting. Sarah Paulson and Holland Taylor were indeed dating. Multiple sources told the outlet they'd been together for a couple of months. The confirmation sent ripples through Hollywood and beyond, not because it was scandalous, it wasn't, but because it was beautiful. Here were 2 accomplished, talented women who had found each other after decades of life experience, who were brave enough to pursue a connection that defied conventional expectations, who were showing the world what real love looks like. On December 7th, just days after the confirmation, Sarah and Holland made their first public appearance as a couple at the opening night of School of Rock on Broadway. They walked the red carpet hand in hand, posing for pictures together, smiling like people who had just discovered the secret to happiness. And maybe they had. What makes their relationship so compelling isn't just a romantic origin story, though that's certainly part of it. It's the way they've navigated their relationship in the public eye with grace, honesty, and authenticity. From the very beginning, they've been open about the 32-year age gap between them. Sarah was born in 1974, Holland in 1943. When they started dating, Sarah was 41 and Holland was 73. That age difference has been the subject of countless articles, think pieces, and social media debates. Some people celebrate it as evidence that love transcends age. Others question it, wonder about power dynamics, speculate about motivations. Sarah and Holland have addressed these reactions head-on, refusing to hide or apologize for their relationship, while also maintaining appropriate boundaries about what they share publicly. In a March 2016 interview with the New York Times, Sarah spoke candidly about her relationship with Holland and her refusal to let others define it. If my life choices had to be predicted based on what was expected from me from a community on either side, that's going to make me feel really straitjacket. And I don't want to feel that, she said. What I can say absolutely is that I am in love, and that person happens to be Holland Taylor. That statement is so powerful because Sarah is claiming her right to love whom she loves without explanation or justification. She's not asking for permission. She's simply stating a fact. She loves Holland Taylor. Full stop. Sarah's also spoken beautifully about why she's drawn to older partners. In that same New York Times interview, she explained, "There's a poignancy to being with someone older. I think there's a greater appreciation of time and what you have together and what's important, and it can make the little things seem very small. That poignancy, that awareness of time's precious nature, infuses their relationship with a depth that might be harder to achieve when you're younger and believe you have forever." Sarah and Holland both understand that time is finite, that each moment together is valuable, that love is something to be cherished, not taken for granted. In a January 2018 interview with Town and Country magazine, Sarah elaborated on her decision to be open about their relationship despite the scrutiny it invites. "I do not want to be defined by who I share my bed, my home, my soul with," she said. "My choices in life have been unconventional, and that's my business. But I do want to live responsibly and truthfully without hiding. It's complicated because there's a lot of hate in this world, and a lot of good can come from quote-unquote normalizing something for people who don't see it as normal. Our relationship represents a certain amount of hope and risk. Maybe there's something brave in it. Maybe it encourages others to make brave choices. What else can I say? We love each other." That statement encapsulates so much about Sarah and Holland's relationship. They're not activists looking for a cause, but they recognize that by living authentically and openly, they're showing other people, particularly LGBTQ+ individuals who might feel marginalized or judged, that it's possible to find love on your own terms. They're demonstrating that age gaps, unconventional relationships, and defying societal expectations can lead to genuine happiness. They're living proof that the heart wants what the heart wants, and sometimes what it wants is exactly what you didn't expect, but desperately needed. Over the years since they went public, Sarah and Holland have given us countless moments that showcase the depth of their love. They've walked red carpets together, attended award shows as each other's dates, supported each other's professional endeavors with unwavering enthusiasm. When Holland was nominated for an Emmy in 2020 for a role in the Netflix series Hollywood, Sarah posted an effusive congratulations on Instagram, writing, "At Holland Taylor, you are the best of the best in every and all ways. I am over the moon for you. Congratulations, my love." When Sarah won the Emmy for Outstanding Lead Actress in a limited series for her portrayal of Marcia Clark, Holland Live tweeted her support from New York, where she was performing on Broadway, sending out a series of messages throughout the evening as Sarah made her way from the red carpet to the stage to accept her award. In her acceptance speech, Sarah ended with, "And Holland Taylor, I love you," declaring her love to millions of viewers around the world. Their social media exchanges have become legendary among fans. Every year on Holland's birthday, which is January 14th, Sarah posts heartfelt tributes that read like love letters. In 2022, she wrote, "Love of my life, the one, the only one. January 14th is my favorite day of the year. A day to unabashedly celebrate you at Holland Taylor. I am the luckiest of the lucky. I love you only." In 2023, for Holland's 80th birthday, Sarah's tribute was even more emotional. "You are sitting at the counter not 15 feet from me, drinking your chocolate coffee as usual. I am happiest this way, you near. When we talk about what it means to live, what this human experience is all about, we always end up somewhere where you aren't exactly sure if you contributed enough. If it's mattered, I can list all the ways in which you matter, ways you contribute to the lives of those around you, as well as the world at large, A&N for one. But I can speak to some piece of this acutely. You matter to me. You matter to me. You've changed me in all the important ways. Sharing my life with you has made everything else make sense. These public declarations of love might seem excessive to some, but they're a window into how these two women experience their relationship. They don't take each other for granted. They express gratitude and admiration regularly. They make it clear to each other and to the world that this relationship is a priority, a source of joy, a fundamental part of who they are. Holland reciprocates in kind, posted her own tributes to Sarah, supporting her work, showing up for her in ways big and small. When Sarah starred in the Broadway production of Appropriate, Holland was there. When Holland performed her one-woman show and, which she wrote about former Texas Governor and Richards, Sarah was in the audience, and she posted about it on Instagram with overwhelming pride. I have loved her for 7 years and counting, and tonight, as she brings the seduction in for his landing, I have never loved her more. She is an artist of the marrow. I happen to love a genius. That's really the truth. To be inspired by the artistry of the person you share your life with is the most glorious thing in this world. I love you. I admire you. I worship you at Holland Taylor. But it's not all public declarations and red carpet appearances. Sarah and Holland have also been remarkably honest about how they structure their relationship in ways that work for them, even if those ways might seem unconventional to others. In May 2024, during an appearance on the Smart List podcast, Sarah revealed that she and Holland don't live together. We don't live together, meaning we don't own a home together, but we're together when we want to be and we're not when we don't, she explained. We spend plenty of time together, but we don't live in the same house. This revelation sparked another round of internet discussion, with some people questioning whether this meant their relationship was less serious or committed. But Sarah was quick to clarify that this arrangement is actually part of what makes their relationship work so well. That's the secret to it, she said. Sarah elaborated on this decision in a September 2024 interview, explaining that it has to do with Holland's relationship history and their different needs for personal space. Holland, before me, hasn't been in a ton of long-term relationships, whereas Holland is my third more than 5-year relationship, Paulson explained. Holland values her independence and her space in ways that are deeply important to her sense of self, and Sarah respects that. Rather than seeing separate residences as a sign of distance, they see it as a way to maintain the excitement and intentionality in their relationship. They choose to be together. Every time they see each other, it's because they want to, not because they happen to be in the same house. There's something beautifully romantic about that. They've also been open about their thoughts on marriage. In an August 2024 appearance on SiriusXM's Andy Cohen Live, Holland was asked whether she and Sarah ever planned to get married. I don't think so, Holland responded. We've never talked about it with any interest. It doesn't seem to mean to us what it means to a lot of people. This answer challenges a conventional narrative that all relationships should follow the same trajectory: dating, moving in together, marriage, children. Sarah and Holland are creating their own path, defining their relationship according to what works for them, not according to what society expects. It's a radical act of self-determination, and it's a reminder that there's no one right way to love someone. Holland did express one concern during that conversation with Andy Cohen, though. When discussing marriage, she mentioned their age gap and said, "We have a big generational difference between us, which worries me for her sake." This admission reveals the vulnerability underneath their confident public presentation. Holland is 81 years old as of 2024. Sarah is 50. Holland is acutely aware that their time together, while precious, is limited by the realities of age and mortality. She worries about leaving Sarah alone, about what will happen when the inevitable occurs. It's a shadow that hovers over many relationships with significant age gaps, the awareness that barring accidents or illness, one person will almost certainly outlive the other by a significant margin. But rather than letting that fear prevent them from loving each other fully, they've chosen to embrace the time they have, to make the most of every moment, to love each other with the urgency and appreciation that comes from understanding time's value. Sarah has addressed these concerns in her own way, repeatedly emphasizing that what she has with Holland is worth any future pain. In a November 2023 appearance on The View, Sarah said to Holland, "I feel very lucky to be with a person who is smarter, wiser, wittier than I, and that just makes my life better in every possible way. She also makes me feel seen, which I think is the most important gift you can give to any person. Being seen, truly seen, by your partner is one of the most profound experiences in a relationship. It means they understand who you really are. They appreciate your complexity. They love you not despite your quirks and flaws, but because of the complete picture of who you are. Sarah's found that with Holland, and she's made it clear that this kind of deep connection is worth whatever challenges come with it. Throughout their relationship, Sarah and Holland have also been remarkably supportive of each other's professional work. They attend each other's premieres, celebrate each other's nominations and wins, promote each other's projects, and speak about each other's talents with genuine admiration. When Sarah starred in films like Glass or Ocean's 8, Holland was there at the premieres, walking the red carpet with her. When Holland performed on Broadway, Sarah was in the audience, cheering her on. This mutual support extends beyond just showing up. They talk about each other's work in interviews with such specific praise that it's clear they actually pay attention to what the other is doing professionally. Sarah has called Holland the most beautiful woman I've ever seen and a genius in various interviews. Holland has praised Sarah's versatility and emotional depth as an actress, her intelligence and wit as a person. Their relationship has also evolved over the years in ways that reflect their deepening bond. During the COVID-19 pandemic, when much of the world was forced into lockdown, Sarah and Holland quarantined together. Holland talked about this in an August 2020 interview with People, explaining that while they normally had to travel constantly for work and were often apart, the pandemic forced them to slow down and spend extended time together. Both of us normally have to travel for work, have constantly been filming, always leaving a bag halfway packed in the foyer at our house, she said. Rather than finding this forced proximity challenging, they thrived. Of course, Sarah and I didn't need to be brought closer together. We have a very tight, close relationship within each other's thoughts, Holland said. We share everything that's going on. The pandemic, despite all its horrors and challenges, gave them the gift of uninterrupted time together, a chance to just be with each other without the demands of their careers pulling them in different directions. One of the most touching aspects of their relationship is how they talk about each other when they're apart or speaking individually. There's no sense of obligation or performance in their words. They genuinely light up when discussing each other. Sarah's face changes when someone mentions Holland. Her whole demeanor softens, her eyes brighten. She smiles in a way that comes from somewhere deep inside. Holland speaks about Sarah with a mixture of pride, affection, and wonder, as though she still can't quite believe her luck in finding this extraordinary woman who loves her. In September 2024, Holland spoke with People about Sarah's intelligence, calling it a very attractive quality. She possesses a great depth of knowledge, beyond anything that I possess about many, many subjects in the world, Holland said. The admiration in that statement is palpable. Holland, an accomplished actress and intelligent woman herself, is in awe of Sarah's mind, and she's not shy about saying so. Their relationship has also inspired countless people who see themselves reflected in some aspect of their story. For LGBTQ+ individuals, especially those who came out later in life or who have relationships that don't fit conventional molds, Sarah and Holland represent hope and possibility. They show that it's never too late to find love, that unconventional relationships can be deeply fulfilling, that living authentically is worth any criticism or judgment you might face. For people in age gap relationships, they provide a high-profile example of how such relationships can work when there's genuine love, respect, and equality between partners. For anyone who's ever felt like their love story didn't match the template they were sold, Sarah and Holland are proof that the best stories are often the ones you write yourself. There's also something profoundly moving about the fact that their relationship began with a moment of recognition in 2005, but didn't truly start until 2015. That 10-year gap is crucial to their story. If they'd gotten together in 2005, it wouldn't have worked. Sarah was in a committed relationship with someone else. Holland was in a relationship too. Neither of them was ready for what they would eventually become to each other. Sometimes the right person comes into your life at the wrong time, and the bravest thing you can do is let them go. Trust that if it's meant to be, you'll find your way back to each other. That's exactly what happened with Sarah and Holland. They met, they recognized something special, and then they went on to live their separate lives, gaining experiences and wisdom and understanding that would eventually make them ready for each other. When Holland slid into Sarah's DMs in 2015, it wasn't just a bold romantic gesture. It was perfect timing. It's worth noting, too, how Holland's approach to landing that first date reflects her personality and her approach to life. Holland didn't play games. She didn't wait for Sarah to make the first move. She didn't overthink it until the moment passed. She saw an opportunity to reconnect with someone she'd never forgotten, someone who had made an impression on her a decade earlier, and she took it. She was direct, genuine, and brave. She put herself out there knowing she might be rejected, that Sarah might not feel the same way, that the connection she remembered might not exist anymore. But she did it anyway because some things are worth the risk. That willingness to be vulnerable, to take chances, to go after what you want, that's part of what makes Holland who she is. And it's part of what Sarah loves about her. And Sarah's response to Holland's DM? She could have ignored it. She could have sent a polite but distant reply. She could have protected herself from the possibility of disappointment. But she didn't. She engaged. She opened herself up to the possibility that this connection she'd felt all those years ago might be real and worth exploring. She took her own risk, made her own leap of faith, and both women, independently but simultaneously, decided that finding out what they could be together was worth whatever challenges might come their way. In the years since they got together, they've faced those challenges. The age gap discourse hasn't gone away. Every time they're photographed together, someone on the internet has something to say about their 32-year age difference. Every interview they do, journalists ask about it. Every article written about them mentions it in the first paragraph. But Sarah and Holland have refused to let other people's opinions diminish what they share. They've addressed the criticism with grace, explained their perspective when they felt it was warranted, and ignored it when they didn't. They've set boundaries about what they will and won't discuss, maintained privacy around certain aspects of their relationship, while being open about others. They've navigated fame and scrutiny in a way that protects their love while still allowing them to live authentically. Looking at where they are now, almost a decade into their relationship, it's clear that what Sarah and Holland have built together is enduring. They've moved past the honeymoon phase into the deeper, more sustainable love that comes from truly knowing another person. They've weathered challenges, celebrated victories, supported each other through difficult times, and shown up for each other consistently. They created a relationship that works for them specifically, that honors their individual needs while serving their collective happiness. They've proven that love doesn't have an expiration date, that it's never too late to find your person, that the best relationships are built on mutual respect, admiration, genuine affection, and the willingness to be vulnerable with each other. Their story is also a reminder that modern love stories can begin in the most unexpected ways. In another era, Holland and Sarah might have lost touch after that dinner party and never connected again. But we live in an age of social media, where you can find someone you met years ago, where sliding into someone's DMs is a legitimate way to start a relationship, where technology can bridge gaps that once would have been insurmountable. Holland used Twitter not as a casual social media platform, but as a tool to reconnect with someone who mattered to her. That's the kind of intentionality that characterizes their entire relationship. Every choice they make is deliberate. Every decision is discussed and agreed upon. Every step forward is taken together. As we look at Sarah Paulson and Holland Taylor's relationship today, what stands out isn't just the romance of their origin story or the courage it took to pursue an unconventional relationship in the public eye. What stands out is the genuine happiness they've found with each other. In every photo, every interview, every public appearance, you can see it. They're not performing for the cameras. They're not trying to prove anything to anyone. They're simply two people who found each other, who chose each other, who continue to choose each other every single day. They hold hands not because photographers are watching, but because they want to touch each other. They smile at each other not for the sake of good publicity, but because being together brings them joy. They support each other's work not out of obligation, but out of genuine pride and admiration. And isn't that what we all want? To find someone who sees us completely and loves us anyway? To find someone who makes us laugh, who challenges us intellectually, who makes us want to be better? To find someone who, when we're sitting at the counter drinking our chocolate coffee, makes us feel like the luckiest person in the world? Sarah and Holland found that with each other. Against the odds, despite the age gap, after a 10-year wait, through the courage of a Twitter DM and the willingness to take a chance. They found it. So when Holland Taylor reveals how she landed her first date with Sarah Paulson, she's not just telling a cute anecdote about sliding into someone's DMs. She's telling a story about recognizing something precious when you see it, about being brave enough to pursue it, about trusting that if something is meant to be, it will find its way to you, even if it takes a decade. She's telling a story about modern love, unconventional relationships, and the beautiful things that happen when you stop worrying about what everyone else thinks and start focusing on what makes you happy. She's telling a story that reminds us all that love stories don't have to follow a script, that the most beautiful relationships are often the ones that defy expectations, and that sometimes the best things in life are worth waiting for. And Sarah? Sarah is telling the story of how she met the most exquisitely beautiful woman she'd ever seen at a dinner party in 2005, carried that memory with her for 10 years, and then got a second chance she never expected. She's telling the story of how sliding into someone's DMs can change your entire life. She's telling the story of how love found her when she wasn't looking for it, in a form she didn't expect, with a person who makes everything else make sense. She's telling a story that gives hope to anyone who's ever felt like they missed their chance, like their love story won't have a happy ending, like it's too late to find what they're looking for. Because here's the truth that Sarah Paulson and Holland Taylor embody. It's never too late. Love doesn't care about your age or your timeline or society's expectations. Love doesn't care if you're 25 or 41 or 73. Love doesn't care if you've been waiting 10 years or 10 minutes. When it's real, when it's right, when it's meant to be, it finds a way. And sometimes that way starts with a dinner party where you meet someone you can't forget, continues with a decade of separate paths and personal growth, and culminates with a simple Twitter DM that changes everything. Holland Taylor landed her first date with Sarah Paulson by being brave enough to reach out, authentic enough to be herself, and patient enough to wait until the timing was right. She landed it by recognizing that some connections are too powerful to ignore, that regret tastes bitter and taking chances tastes sweet, that the worst thing that could happen, rejection, is nowhere near as bad as the worst thing that could happen, never knowing what might have been. And in doing so, she didn't just land a first date. She landed the love of her life, a partnership that has enriched both of their lives immeasurably, a relationship that inspires countless people around the world. This is the story of how Holland Taylor landed her first date with Sarah Paulson. But really, it's the story of how two extraordinary women found each other, chose each other, and built a love that defies easy categorization. It's a story about timing and Twitter, about patience and persistence, about being seen and being loved. It's a story that started at a dinner party in 2005, paused for a decade, and then resumed with a DM that changed two lives forever. And it's a story that reminds us all that the best love stories are the ones we write ourselves, even if we have to wait 10 years and slide into someone's DMs to do it.